Book Summary 下划线 Trump, The Art of the Deal 下划线 by Donald J. Trump. They say success leaves clues and in 星号 The Art of the Deal 星号 Donald J. Trump lays out a blueprint not just for making deals but for crafting a life around ambition, guts, and calculated risk. Before he was a political figure, Trump was the brash-bold New York real estate mogul who made headlines with sky-high buildings and even higher confidence. This book is part memoir, part business manual, and full-on masterclass in how Trump thinks, acts, and negotiates his way through life. If you ever wondered how one man managed to put his stamp on the skyline of the most competitive city in the world, this book takes you behind the scenes and into his mindset. Trump opens the book not with grand theory but with action. He gives the reader a play-by-play of a typical week in his life, juggling phone calls, meetings, media, and big money decisions. This glimpse into his world is fast-paced and dizzying, and it sets the tone for the rest of the book. Trump wants you to know right away he's not just talking theory. He lives and breathes this stuff. Every day is a deal and every moment counts. The heart of the book is built around 11 guiding principles of Trump's deal-making philosophy. These aren't abstract rules pulled from a business textbook. They're forged in real estate battlegrounds and corporate boardrooms, tested under pressure and often against overwhelming odds. Principles like 星号 think big, 星号 maximize your options, 星号 and 星号 use your leverage, 星号 come alive through the stories he tells. For Trump, thinking small is a crime. He believes that if you're going to be thinking at all, you might as well think big. That mindset is the foundation of his empire. Trump emphasizes that good deal-making is part instinct, part preparation, and all about knowing your value. He often enters negotiations not by pushing harder but by understanding what the other side wants and then figuring out how to give it to them without sacrificing his own goals. He talks about using leverage, whether that's money, knowledge, or timing, to gain the upper hand. But most importantly, he talks about being fearless. Fear is the enemy of success, and Trump learned early to trust his gut and to take bold steps when others hesitated. One of the most compelling parts of the book is the deep dive into some of Trump's biggest deals. The transformation of the Commodore Hotel into the Grand Hyatt was a turning point in his career, and he walks the reader through every layer of that complex project. From navigating government red tape to convincing skeptical investors to working with skeptical partners, Trump lays bare the mechanics of a high-stakes real estate transaction. He shows how persistence, timing, and a willingness to see potential where others see failure lead to one of his early triumphs. Another powerful story is the tale of Trump Tower. What started as a vision for a luxury residential building on Fifth Avenue became an icon of modern Manhattan. Trump doesn't just talk about the construction or the location. He talks about every detail, from the marble in the lobby to the location of the waterfall. It's about image, branding, and sending a message. Trump Tower wasn't just a building. It was a symbol. And Trump knew exactly how to use that symbol to elevate his personal and professional brand. Throughout the book, Trump also addresses the media and public relations not as afterthoughts but as key components of his strategy. He understands that perception shapes reality, and he's a master of controlling the narrative. When he needed attention for a new project, he made headlines. When he faced criticism, he doubled down. For Trump, the media is not a threat but a tool, and knowing how to wield that tool gave him an edge in a crowded marketplace. 星号 The Art of the Deal 星号 also pulls back the curtain on Trump's upbringing and family influence. His father, Fred Trump, was a successful builder in Brooklyn and Queens and taught Donald the fundamentals of real estate and business. But Donald's ambition always reached further. While Fred focused on middle-income housing, Donald set his sights on Manhattan luxury skyscrapers, casinos, and global brand power. The contrast between father and son isn't just personal. It illustrates how each generation redefines success on its own terms. The book doesn't shy away from setbacks either. Trump openly discusses failed deals, zoning battles, lawsuits, and economic downturns. But even these moments are presented not as defeats but as lessons. When the economy tanked or a deal fell through, Trump adapted. He negotiated with banks, reassessed his strategies, and always kept moving. Resilience in the face of adversity is one of the core themes in this book. For Trump, failure is just part of the process. He also talks about timing not just in terms of markets but in knowing when to strike, when to wait, and when to walk away. Timing is what separates a good deal from a great one, and Trump shows how he learned to read the moment like a poker player watches the table. Whether he's buying properties at rock bottom prices or selling at peak value, his sense of timing often turned good instincts into massive profits. Another intriguing layer of the book is Trump's blend of confidence and showmanship. He understands the value of branding not just for products but for people. His name itself becomes part of the asset, and he meticulously cultivates that image. He details how being bold, memorable, and even controversial can be more valuable than simply being competent. He doesn't just build buildings. He builds buzz. And in a world driven by perception, that buzz can be more powerful than concrete and steel. As the book moves toward its conclusion, Trump shares his thoughts on business, politics, leadership, and what it takes to win. He doesn't believe in playing it safe. He believes in taking calculated risks and staying relentless in pursuit of big dreams. He talks about loving what you do because passion fuels persistence. He reminds the reader that luck matters, but you can create your own luck by putting yourself in the right place with the right preparation. 星号 Trump, The Art of the Deal. 星号 is not just a story about real estate. It's a story about mindset, ambition, and playing the game of life at the highest level. It's filled with real-world strategies told through larger-than-life stories by a man who defied the odds and carved out a unique place in American business history. Whether you admire him or criticize him, it's impossible to ignore him. And this book shows you exactly why. For listeners who want an audiobook that combines entertainment with insight, who want to understand the game behind the glamour and the grit behind the gold, this is a front-row seat to the thinking of a high-stakes dealmaker. It's sharp, fast, detailed, and sometimes even outrageous, but always compelling. If you're ready to dive into the mind of a man who turned his name into a billion-dollar brand, 星号 The Art of the Deal. 星号 is the blueprint you've been looking for.